Gas prices are $4.50 across the country. And they decide on this day in March, Cinco de Mayo, that what they want to do is announce $1 billion in May, $1 billion for a ballroom. That is a bait and switch for the American people.
There are security things at the White House that have to be done.
Please like, subscribe, and share. On CNN Newsnight with Phillip, Scott Jennings returned after getting embarrassed by Adam Mockler in a debate that quickly went viral. This time, Jennings was back defending Donald Trump and doing everything he could to justify Trump misleading the American people. We're going to break down the biggest moments, react to the clips, and give our thoughts on everything that went down. Let's get into it.
It looks like American taxpayers could be footing the bill for President Trump's ballroom. After all, Senate Republicans are now looking to give the Secret Service $1 billion, yeah, that's billion with a B, dollars for security upgrades for this project. The cash tucked inside of a broader immigration reconciliation package, and the GOP is arguing that the public should bankroll some of the costs after last month's shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But that's not what Trump has been saying since he started his prized renovation project.
We have no taxes. This is taxpayer-free. We have no taxpayer putting up 10 cents. We did this no charge to the taxpayer whatsoever. I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it. The country's not. We're donating a $400 million ballroom. Myself and donors are giving them free of charge for nothing. It's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors. Rich people and people are putting up the money. Zero taxpayer dollars.
Brad, what in the bait and switch is this?
Well, what I would tell you is if Democrats had not been willing to fund the Department of Homeland Security, not shut the government down, we would not have this reconciliation vehicle, which can be passed.
Okay.
But the leader, Senator Thune and Speaker Johnson, we're not planning on doing this. There's going to be no vessel.
Phillip knows that he's so full of shit that she can just do nothing but laugh here.
For this to happen, Democrats forced them to do this, and so now the president's...
Democrats
support the ballroom.
Republicans.
I do support the ballroom. We need a ballroom. The Obama administration thought we needed a ballroom. We need a ballroom.
Like as recently as a week ago, right after the White House Correspondents' Dinner attempted shooting, the DOJ ran to court 2 days afterwards to argue in front of the judge who has put the injunction on the construction about the need to build this ballroom. And in that legal filing that was done last week, Trump's DOJ, that thing read like a Trump tweet. It said over and over, it's going to be free. It's a gift from me to the American people. It's not going to cost anything. So the problem is not the vessel that it's on. The problem is not the shutdown. The problem is that Trump lied and that he said over and over again. First, it started as a $300 million project that was going to be paid by his cronies, the tech titans and all the donors that want to kowtow to him. Then it got to $400 million. I don't know what the hell happened to that $400 million because I thought it had already been raised. But now they want an additional $1 billion coming from my pocket at a time when Americans can't pay for gas. So therein lies the problem.
I do not even understand. I really am trying to understand. If you're Republicans, you know you're facing potentially a tsunami come the fall. Just the history is not in your favor this year. Gas prices are $4.50 across the country. And they decide on this day in March, Cinco de Mayo, that what they want to do is announce $1 billion in May, $1 billion for a ballroom.
Well, if I may serve as the clerk of the table, I'll read you from the bill. None of the funds made available under this section may be used for non-security elements of the East Wing modernization project. That is direct text from the bill. Now,
I don't think that matters it doesn't matter even one scintilla because...
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't. Because, first of all,
but that's in the
president said that the...
Please like, subscribe, and share. Scott Jennings can try to defend it all he wants, but nobody's buying it except him. Donald Trump originally claimed private donors would fully cover the costs, with zero taxpayer money involved. Now suddenly, taxpayers are expected to fund nearly $1 billion for it. Why should anyone trust what Trump says at this point? Even someone with no knowledge of his history would look at this situation and immediately see the contradictions. And one major question that rarely gets asked on CNN is this: how much of that money could ultimately benefit Trump himself? Because there's no way every dollar is strictly going toward construction of that ballroom.
And that it would be entirely paid for by private donations. So now, to then come and say after the fact, well, there are security upgrades that we need to make, and it's going to cost 2.5 times that amount, in addition to the $400 billion, that is a bait and switch for the American people.
I think that's a valid argument. On the other hand, having worked at the White House, Van was there as well. You've been there. There are security things at the White House that have to be done. I mean, it is the most secure government building in the world. It is a military base, and you can't just ignore that there are security things that go on above ground and underground that most of us will never see.
The president bulldozed the East Wing, didn't go to Congress to ask,
But now he's going to Congress.
even once, to approve a plan. Nobody even knows what the plan is because he just changes it every 3 months based on his grandiose ideas.
And the cost keeps going
And the
up.
cost keeps going up. Where's the oversight? Is this $1 billion? This is $1 billion blank
Look,
check.
I don't know if anybody's driven by there lately. Okay, there's a hole in the ground.
Yes.
We're not going to leave,
Created by Trump.
we're not going to
We're
leave
aware.
it indefinitely, nor should we leave it. Brad is right. Every administration has said we need a ballroom, we need a better facility. A. B, it does need to be secure. C, as much of it as possible needs to be paid for by private donations, just as the president said. But to me, I think it's sort of cheap point scoring to say we can't worry about funding to make sure that the White House is secure for the commander-in-chief of the United States.
Visiting world leaders.
To be clear, the White House.
Please like, subscribe, and share. As Abby Phillip pointed out, the White House was already secure, so that was never really the issue. And honestly, if Donald Trump wants this ballroom so badly, he should fund it himself. After all, he's reportedly made billions while back in office, far more than many previous presidents combined. The way Scott Jennings, Brad Todd, and other MAGA defenders try to frame this sounds a lot like how they complained about rising costs or gas prices. The excuse was always, just wait until the war is over. But those problems wouldn't have exploded in the first place if Trump hadn't pushed the country into that mess. And it's the same story with this ballroom project. They keep saying there's now a huge hole in the ground, but that only happened because part of the White House was already torn down to make room for it.
Secure, okay? The White House is secure. What Trump wants to do is over and above that, and that might be fine. But I think there is an argument to be made that instead of after the fact, you bulldoze the thing first and then say, well, we can't leave the hole there. We got to fill it.
But this is how the White House has always been.
I mean, that's
By the way,
a
may I
wild thing to
remind you
do.
that right now the Trump administration has been trying to prosecute the Fed chair over cost overruns for the
last
renovation.
The last time we had a White House renovation, Harry Truman just did it, didn't ask Congress. And now the president is going to Congress. I was told 3 months ago that the president
What
was
White
going
House
to
renovation
Congress.
are you talking about? You talking about the interior?
Yes, South Portico.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
but
and the construction on the exterior of the
all right,
building.
we've been
I don't know
down
how
this
you guys
we've been
can
down
make
this
this one
road
with a straight
before.
face.
Okay, there are different types of renovations. Most of the major renovations, structural renovations to the White House, have in fact been approved by Congress.
That's what's about to happen.
Well, hold on. There is a fund that the president has available to him to make changes, and I'm sure President Trump has already dipped into it to make the marble black and in the colonnade and to add text to the exterior of the Oval Office and all of that. There are different tranches of funds. So there are different issues at play here. And $400 million plus another $1 billion is a very different quantity of money. That's what we're talking about.
Will you be okay now that it goes to the White Congress?
But I guess, you know, he did say that it was going to be free to the American people. And I assume that when he thought about his ballroom, he didn't think it was going to be insecure. He probably thought it was going to be secure. So if he wants $1 billion to make it secure for our free ballroom that he promised us, he needs to go to his billionaire friends and get another $1 billion. I don't understand why.
They're busy paying for the Met Gala.
All I want to say is that people aren't dumb. It's like he said he was going to give us a free ballroom. We didn't ask for it, and he didn't ask permission for it, but that's what he wanted to do. And now he's sticking us with a massive bill for it. Now, you can then say, but it's for security. Well, you should have thought about that before you started tearing down the White House.
Well, I think
and how much it's going to cost.
the problem is, and I love you both, but you guys are getting played by this president. At the end of the day, he promised to lower costs, and he's building this ballroom. You have to sit here and defend him every single day. Gas prices have gone up. He's trying to sabotage the midterm elections. Like, this man is not doing anything to help the Republican Party whatsoever. And if I were a Republican on the Hill, or if I were sitting at this table and my Democratic president were to be doing that, I would be pissed, and I would be out here, and I'd be calling the White House every day saying, you know, you're about to lose us the election, but the Republican Party.
Please like, subscribe, and share. At the end of that segment, Abby Phillip and Van Jones really summed it up perfectly. For the past year, we kept hearing there was no money for programs people actually need. Cuts to services, concerns about debt, and endless talk about reducing spending. But suddenly there's room for a massive defense budget and funding for projects like this ballroom. Even though the ballroom may be a small expense compared to everything else, it still sends a terrible message. Americans are constantly told there's no money for healthcare, childcare, or helping working families. Yet somehow there's always cash available for wars and luxury projects. That's why so many people see this as another wasteful political stunt instead of a real priority. Scott Jennings and Brad Todd can keep trying to defend it on CNN Newsnight with Abby Phillip, but a lot of viewers simply are not buying the excuses anymore. That frustration is a big reason Trump's approval numbers continue to struggle, but let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree more with Abby Phillip, Van Jones, and Ana Navarro, or do you think Scott Jennings and Brad Todd are right? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.